Texas declared independence from the Republic of Mexico in 1836 and then basically asked to join the United States. They were rejected the first time. Nah, we don't want you. Later, it was moved forward by President John Tyler, 10th president of the United States, moved it forward and finally made it in, and Texas joined the Union. Then they became the 7th state to leave the Union and join the Confederacy. That left a bad taste in people's mouths. Now there's a movement afoot that maybe Texas should be independent again. It's a conversation, an interesting day to have that conversation when Texas is suing other states in the United States Supreme Court. Daniel Miller is the president of the Texas Nationalist Movement. He joins me here on the program. Daniel, good to have you.
Hey, Steve, thanks for having me.
Now, was it something I said or something I did? Why is Texas in such a yank to leave the Union? I mean, what have I done here?
Look, I just want to get this squared away right out of the chute before anyone thinks that this is something that has just popped up. Our organization has actually been around for 15 years. And when we started on this path for Texas independence and really working as an official political movement, the issue was polling in single digits. But what we've seen over the years as the federal government has continued to grow and disregard the Constitution, and we've seen this severe imbalance in the relationship between the states, what we've seen is that level of support grow. We got one of the most telling polls was back in 2014, right around the time of the Scottish Independence Referendum, where we saw 54% of Republicans, about half of independent voters, and a little over a third of Democrats say that they supported Texas leaving the Union. So, where we're at this point is we're just sort of in that next natural step, that next natural progression, where legislation is being filed so that we can have a Brexit-style vote here and put the question to the people of Texas.
So what do you think happens here then? Put the question before Texas. There was a provision originally, I believe, in 1845, that Texas could leave the Union if they so decide. But I believe after the Civil War, that was no longer the case. So you can't just take a vote of the people of Texas and say, thanks for everything, we're leaving now. How would the process work in a practical manner if it were to happen?
Oh, see, the idea that Texas had some sort of specific provision that was unique among the states is just simply not correct, nor is it correct that somehow this right of self-determination was given up after the Civil War.
See, that's why we're here. We're here to clean up myths and nonsense. We're here for truth and justice and the Texan way or something. Go on.
Well, then buckle up for a truth bomb.
All right, here it comes.
Every single state in the Union, with the exception of Nevada, has the right to leave. The Civil War did not change that. As a matter of fact, Texas, in its Constitution, its post-Civil War Constitution, has two specific phrases at the beginning in our Texas Bill of Rights. Excuse me. Article 1, Section 1 actually ends with the words that the perpetuity of the Union depends on the right of local self-government unimpaired to all the states. It basically says at the moment that our right of local self-government gets trampled, boom, the Union's done. And so Article 1, Section 2, which this legislation that's being filed tracks with verbatim, it basically embodies it, is very Jeffersonian in the sense that it says that all political power is inherent in the people, and they have at all times the inalienable right to alter, reform, or abolish their form of government in such manner as they may think expedient.
All right, so in a practical fashion then, can the state house and state senate in Texas vote to leave the United States? And if it's signed by the governor, it's a done deal? Or how would it actually work in practicality? Would there have to be a vote of the people? How would it work, Daniel?
Yeah, it's down to a vote of the people. Article 1, Section 2 that I just quoted is very clear that the questions like this are best left up to the people. So, what we have fought for since our inception is to have this referendum, to be able to have the legislation enacted that would essentially put the question to the people of Texas. Now, right now, obviously, with people talking about Texas, with the bill being filed, there's a lot of debate going on about about whether Texas would be better off. And look, we can make that case all day long, probably why the political establishment does not want to have this argument, right? But the real question that we have right now that we have to answer as Texans is whether or not the people of Texas even deserve to have this conversation and to have this vote. And on one side, you've got the people of Texas that have shown in ever increasing numbers that they believe that Texas would be better off as an independent nation. And then on the other side of this equation, you have a political establishment who thinks that the people of Texas are just too stupid to make their own decisions. So that's going to be the battle in the coming weeks and months.
Isn't it funny how politicians think we're the stupid ones? Anyhow, Daniel Miller here, president of the Texas Nationalist Movement. How does it poll now, Daniel? I mean, you said it polled in the single digits. What is the idea of Texas being an independent sovereign nation? How does it poll today?
Well, I will tell you that pretty much every time the federal government does anything, our numbers go up. But pretty much if a federal politician fogs a mirror, we get an inch brand new supporters. But I will tell you this: if we were not confident that we would win this in a landslide beyond the margin of theft, then we wouldn't be pushing so hard for a referendum. If this goes to a vote of the people, we absolutely 100% win this by a hefty margin. And the reason is quite simple. Texans are sick and tired of being governed by 180,000 pages of federal laws, rules, and regulations administered by 440 separate agencies and 2.5 million unelected bureaucrats. At the end of the day, Texans want to be governed only by Texans. We don't want any more of that national debt. We don't want any more of our laws being overturned by these black-robed thugs that call themselves federal judges.
Fair enough.
We want to be able to solve our problems the way that we want without outside interference.
Daniel Miller, great conversation. Thank you for being here.